strategist and contributor to the Los Angeles Times, who I will now re-out as a former Republican. So I'm going to you first because, look, I'll tell you both. When I listened to the Mike Pence thing today, it sounded like Republican from the 80s, yes. Right? So that was, but I want to go to Chris Christie first. I'm going to come back to Pence. Not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes they close bridges. He's a bad guy. He was an enabler. He did everything wrong when it came to Trump, as did Pence, as did a lot of these guys. But sometimes somebody has to say the thing.
Right.
He said the thing today.
Well, I'm reminded of the phrase, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's kind of how I view Chris Christie, because of all the people, and you showed that list of all the people who are running, declared, or thinking about running, none of them have actually done the job of taking on Donald Trump. They want to talk nonstop about Joe Biden. Guess what? In order to get to Joe Biden, you have to beat Donald Trump. That's the only path that you have. Chris Christie is the only one actually doing that.
Let me play Chris Christie saying how the other candidates treat Trump like Voldemort. Listen.
We have pretenders all around us who want to tell you, pick me, because I'm kind of like what you picked before, but not quite as crazy. But I don't want to say his name, because for these other pretenders, he is, for those of you who read the Harry Potter books, like Voldemort. He is he who shall not be named.
You know, Olivia, inherent in running for president when Donald Trump was the first one in is you saying he shouldn't be president. Yet, as he said, Chris Christie ain't wrong. The only one willing to say Trump shouldn't be president up until Pence today was him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the only one that's willing to take him on. And he's, you know, I'm actually loving this. I'm not going to lie. I want him to hang
I don't hate it.
I want him to be the bull in the china shop against him, because apparently nobody else will. Certainly my former boss won't. And if you're expecting Mike Pence to take the boxing gloves up, I just don't see it. That's not who he is. And so my dream is to have Trump, DeSantis, Chris Christie, and Pence on the stage, because I would love to see that.
First of all, Chris Christie versus Ron DeSantis, that ain't even a fair fight. He would take, you're right, little Ron, right, woke, I gotta fight the woke. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. But let me tell you, you said that your former boss won't take on Trump. There was one piece of his presentation today that I said, okay, Mike Pence, he kind of did the thing a little bit. Here he is talking about what he did on January 6th, 2021.
The American people deserve to know that on that day, President Trump also demanded that I choose between him and the Constitution. Now voters will be faced with the same choice. I chose the Constitution. Let me say from my heart, I understand the disappointment that many still feel about the outcome of the 2020 election. I can relate. I was on the ballot. But I had no right to overturn the election. And Kamala Harris will have no right to overturn the election when we beat them in 2024.
Okay, you're not going to be president. But, I mean, that's a solid argument. And that actually is an argument. Of course, he then went on Fox News and kind of like backpedaled and did the opposite of that. But at least he did that there. Can he sustain that?
You know, that was my favorite part of his speech today, actually, was pointing that out. I also like the fact that he put it out to the voters and said, this is a choice, the Constitution or this guy. And he's speaking to Republican voters, which I think is important, because that is really the choice here.
It might be Republican voters from like 1986.
Well, you're probably right.
I don't think
it's a party that no longer exists. How about here we are.
The other thing that no longer exists is sort of intelligent campaigning among Republicans. They literally said early voting and absentee voting are criminal, inherently are fraud. Guess what they're doing now? Fox News. The Republican National Committee is rolling out a Bank Your Vote nationwide campaign, which is expected to encourage, educate, and activate Republican voters on what? Early voting and absentee voting.
So they finally figured out, after losing 2018, after losing the presidency in 2020, after woefully underperforming the midterms, that maybe attacking the thing that helped you have a tactical advantage for many. I'm old enough to remember, as a former Republican, when the absentee vote was our thing. That's what we counted on.
Having worked in Democratic campaigns, I'm going to tell you what took us out was Republican absentee voting every single time. But the thing is, they dropped it, and Trump said it's evil.
Right.
Can they now re-educate a whole sea of base voters to say, no, this thing we said is evil is good?
No, there's going to be mass confusion. Again, this is just idiocy to the highest degree when it comes to just basic fundamental one-on-one campaigns and tactics. You know this. You've been involved in politics for a long time. You know this. The idea that you would make it harder
They've made it harder
for your own voters.
That's right.
I mean, never mind the suppression they do to the rest, but for your own voters to send mixed messages, mixed signals, misinformation is just dumb. And
they've passed laws to literally physically make it harder. So they're telling you, okay, do this thing. Okay, we ain't going to make it easy for you, but hey, smart. Mike Pence had like 2 minutes that he did well. We'll give him that. Olivia Troy and Kurt Bardella, thank you both. Coming up, an arrest.